Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Oluwadore Blessing and I'm so glad you're here. Today we're going to be looking at the difference between writing and speaking. The difference between writing and speaking. I would also be highlighting some of the benefits of having both or having one. If you're going into the communication system, if you're going into the media system, and you want to be an indispensable instrument, one of the things that I would advise that you get as a skill is to either be a good writer or to be a good communicator or to be a good speaker. Now, the thing that speaking and writing have mostly in common is that they are able to communicate either to the reader or to the listener. What writing and speaking have in common is the ability to communicate. So just because I've written a book or just because I have been able to talk doesn't mean that I am actually communicating. And I will start just a little with the reading mode. When it comes to writing and reading, you find out that there are certain instruments that are set in place so that you are able to communicate effectively to the reader. For example, there are so many emotions and thought encoded in writing a book in order to explain to the reader what the author is actually talking about. And for that purpose to be actualized, sometimes we begin to introduce some abstract so as to explain the thought of the author. There's so many skills and there's so many things that are deployed in writing for your information to get to the reader, for the right information. Let me highlight that, for the right information to get to the reader. Now, in writing, if you do not use certain instruments like your apostrophe, your comma, your punctuation marks, sometimes it can be difficult for the reader to understand what you are actually saying, because some of these punctuation marks are put in place so that they can really explain to the reader what the author is actually talking about. So even if the author is not present there, the reader is able to understand that at this point of this story, this is what the author is trying to explain to us. Or at this point of the story, the author is angry. At this point of the story, the author is depressed. At this point of the story, the author is this. Now, all of these things are encoded in skills. It takes skills to be able to effectively communicate to either the listener or the reader when it comes to writing and speaking. That's why I say it's a skill, and this skill is not limited to either you are a profession or you are in a profession that has to do with communication. It's something that as long as you are talking, you need such skills so that people do not misunderstand you when you are trying to explain other things to them. That's why I say reading, writing, and speaking are two different skills, though their aim is to communicate effectively to either the person who is reading or the person who is listening. If this is your first time coming in contact with any of my teachings or seeing me for the first time, do well to say hi.